Hi, dear subscribers. Let's get acquainted. Write in the comments where you are watching me from. I read all the comments and respond to the interesting ones. Breaking news is shaking Eastern European geopolitics. A high-ranking Russian diplomat made a statement that could reshape the security landscape from the Baltic to the Black Sea. Here's what's happening. Russia's deputy foreign minister linked the resolution of military operations in the northern Black Sea region to one condition: NATO's complete withdrawal from the Baltic states. This is significant because Moscow is framing the current conflict as part of a broader confrontation with NATO, not just a regional dispute. We're talking about potentially restructuring European security architecture. The timing is crucial. As Washington debates American military presence in Europe, this statement emerges. This looks like a calculated move in a complex geopolitical chess game. What does this mean for you? Any shift in regional military balance can trigger a domino effect, from currency fluctuations to changes in national defense policies. Your savings, security, and future could be affected. This diplomatic move raises questions. Are we seeing a shift in Russian foreign policy? Or is this a strategic negotiating position? The Baltic states are expressing grave concerns. Their security framework depends on NATO presence. The stakes are high. We're not just talking about military movements. We're looking at a potential reorganization of power structures that maintained stability in Europe for decades. This could be the opening move in a larger diplomatic offensive. Stay tuned as we explore how this could reshape not just Eastern Europe, but the global security landscape. What would a NATO withdrawal from the Baltics mean? How might this affect your daily life? Let's examine the historical context that led us here. Let's dive deeper into these historical turning points that shaped today's geopolitical reality. In the next segments, we'll explore three crucial developments: NATO's eastward expansion despite earlier assurances, the shifting military balance in Eastern Europe, and why diplomatic solutions became increasingly difficult to achieve. The question remains: could different choices in the 1990s have prevented today's confrontation? Deputy Foreign Minister Sergey Ryabkov's recent statement on LRT, a Baltic state media portal, highlights Russia's core concern: NATO's consistent advance toward Russian borders. As the ministry's lead negotiator, Ryabkov's position reflects Moscow's official stance on current events. This perspective deserves careful consideration, especially given the historical context of Russia's relations with Western partners. The post-Soviet period witnessed a gradual but significant transformation of the region's security architecture. What many observers often overlook is how NATO's military infrastructure steadily approached Russian borders, while diplomatic channels for addressing security concerns narrowed. This evolution created what Russian strategists view as an untenable security situation. Subscribe if you want to follow real politics and facts before they're filtered out for TV. The Kremlin's return to pre-conflict rhetoric signals a potentially significant shift in diplomatic positioning. Their demand for NATO to return to its 1997 borders would mean a complete withdrawal from Baltic states and Eastern European countries that joined after that date. This stance reflects deep-seated concerns about strategic balance and historical security guarantees. Viewers, especially those following these events from Russia, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What specific diplomatic steps could have been taken in the 1990s to prevent the current situation? Share your analysis in the comments below. Today we'll analyze a significant diplomatic statement causing ripples across Eastern Europe, particularly in the Baltic states. This development marks a crucial moment in the ongoing chess game between Russia and NATO. Moscow's recent position mirrors earlier security demands, showing consistency in Russia's foreign policy objectives. The Kremlin continues to emphasize the need for security guarantees along its western borders. NATO has been steadily increasing its military presence in Eastern Europe, especially in Poland and the Baltic states. From Russia's perspective, this buildup represents a direct challenge to regional stability. The Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, find themselves at the center of this diplomatic tension. Since 2014, these nations have hosted NATO battalions as part of the alliance's deterrence strategy. Their leaders express concerns about potential changes to the security architecture. Some analysts suggest that Russia's diplomatic rhetoric might signal readiness for negotiations. However, Moscow's proposed conditions face significant obstacles. The fundamental issue lies in the sovereignty principle. Baltic states voluntarily joined NATO, and decisions about military presence must respect their interests. Looking at the broader picture, we're witnessing a complex diplomatic dance. Russia maintains its position regarding NATO's eastern expansion, while Western allies remain committed to their defensive arrangements. The question isn't just about military presence, it's about the future security architecture of Eastern Europe. Rather than viewing this as a zero-sum game, it's time to consider new approaches to regional security that address both Russian concerns and Baltic states' sovereignty. Historical experience shows that lasting stability requires consideration of all parties' legitimate security interests. What's your view on this situation? As someone who's witnessed the evolution of East-West relations, do you see potential for a balanced solution that could satisfy both Russian security interests and Baltic sovereignty? Share your thoughts. Your perspective could add valuable insight to this discussion. Here's a 2,000-character script maintaining a balanced perspective. Recent diplomatic exchanges have brought renewed attention to NATO's military presence in the Baltic region. The situation has gained particular significance following Russia's special military operation in the northern Black Sea region. Let's analyze this objectively. NATO's presence in the Baltic states represents a long-term security arrangement that's been carefully calibrated over years. This isn't just about troops on the ground. It's about the message these deployments send regarding alliance unity and collective defense commitments. What's particularly interesting is the recent statement by Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergey Ryabkov. His careful choice of words, notably avoiding specific mentions of individual Baltic states, has sparked considerable discussion among diplomatic circles. Latvia's ambassador Maris Riksteins offered a detailed response, highlighting the nuanced nature of current diplomatic discourse. The military configuration in the region didn't emerge by chance. It's the result of careful analysis of geopolitical realities and potential risks. Any significant changes could substantially alter the power balance in Eastern Europe. Consider this. The Baltic states sit at a critical geographical junction where various geopolitical interests intersect. Their security directly impacts continental European stability. Since early 2022, following the commencement of the special military operation in the territory of instability, NATO has significantly strengthened its presence in these regions. But here's the crucial question. Does this enhanced military presence actually contribute to regional stability? Or does it potentially escalate tensions? The answer isn't straightforward and depends largely on one's perspective regarding security architecture in Eastern Europe. Looking ahead, the key challenge will be finding a balance between legitimate security concerns and the need for diplomatic dialogue. The situation demands careful consideration of all factors involved. Comment bite. Friends, your perspective on this is invaluable. As someone who has followed these developments closely, I'm particularly interested in hearing from our Russian viewers. How do you see the future of Baltic-Russian relations evolving, and what steps could lead to mutual understanding? Here's your 2,000-character news script. Recent diplomatic tensions have escalated as Moscow issues bold statements regarding NATO presence in the Baltic region. This development comes amid broader geopolitical shifts and ongoing operations in territories of instability along Russia's borders. A senior Russian diplomatic representative recently outlined conditions demanding the withdrawal of NATO forces from the Baltic states. This move has predictably triggered sharp responses from Baltic officials, particularly from Latvia. Let's examine the deeper context here. The Baltic nations have been integral NATO members for over 2 decades. During this time, they've developed sophisticated regional security systems combining national armed forces with allied contingents. Their NATO membership represents more than just military alliance. It's a cornerstone of their national security doctrine. Moscow's recent statements reflect a consistent pattern of opposition to NATO's eastward expansion, which Russian officials have long characterized as a threat to national security. However, for Baltic nations, NATO membership isn't negotiable. It's fundamental to their defense strategy. What's particularly noteworthy is the timing of these diplomatic exchanges. They emerge as Russia continues its special military operation in politically turbulent regions, suggesting a broader strategy to reshape European security architecture. The Baltic response has been unequivocal. As one Latvian diplomat pointedly stated on social media, "Moscow can dream whatever it wants, but the reality is clear. We've been full NATO members for over 2 decades, and this won't change." This diplomatic confrontation highlights the deep-rooted divergence in security perspectives between Russia and its Western neighbors. While Moscow seeks to limit NATO's influence in what it considers its traditional sphere of influence, Baltic states view the alliance as their security guarantee. Friends, let's engage in meaningful dialogue. What solutions do you see for balancing Russia's security interests with those of its neighboring states? Share your thoughts on how diplomatic relations between Russia and the Baltic region might evolve. Your perspective matters more than you might think. Good evening, viewers. Today we're analyzing a statement that has sent ripples through the international community. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergey Ryabkov has linked the conclusion of the special military operation in the northern Black Sea region to NATO's presence in the Baltic states. Let's examine this diplomatic move. Moscow is positioning the current situation within a broader geopolitical framework, challenging the post-Cold War security architecture. The Baltic response was swift. Latvia's ambassador emphasized their NATO membership, a status they consider non-negotiable. Estonia and Lithuania echoed this stance. Let's consider the implications. How realistic is this position? The Baltic states joined NATO through sovereign decisions. The alliance is their security cornerstone. Any modification would require rebuilding Europe's entire security framework. Highly improbable under current circumstances. NATO continues strengthening its Baltic presence through military exercises, infrastructure modernization, and enhanced international battalion deployments. Moscow's statement appears to be part of a broader diplomatic strategy to revise the post-Cold War order, which Russia has viewed as disadvantageous. NATO's eastward expansion has been perceived by Moscow as a strategic threat. The northern Black Sea region remains tense. Military experts suggest demands for NATO troop withdrawal might be part of a larger geopolitical chess game, affecting regional stability and international relations. The current military operation is increasingly linked to broader questions of European security architecture and NATO's role in Eastern Europe. These interconnected issues mark a pivotal moment in modern geopolitics. Your perspective matters. How do you view NATO's effectiveness in the Baltic region? Have you noticed changes in your local security situation? Share your observations, especially if you've followed East-West relations since NATO's eastward expansion. In today's analysis, we examine a critical juncture in international relations. The fundamental question concerns the balance between national interests and collective security in Eastern Europe. Recent diplomatic statements from Moscow regarding NATO's presence in the Baltic states highlight a historical pattern of security relationships in the region. Looking at the broader context, we see how Russia's diplomatic position has evolved. The current situation represents not just a regional conflict, but a manifestation of long-standing tensions between different security architectures in Europe. The Russian Federation's concerns about NATO expansion eastward continue to shape diplomatic discourse and military planning. What's particularly noteworthy is how this impacts the Baltic states. Their NATO membership, from Moscow's perspective, represents a strategic challenge that needs addressing through diplomatic channels. The Russian position, linking military operations to NATO's presence in the Baltics, introduces a new dimension to negotiations. This situation raises questions about the future of European security architecture. Can we find a balanced approach that addresses both Russian security concerns and the sovereign rights of neighboring states? The answer lies in understanding historical contexts while acknowledging current realities. The developments in the former Soviet Republic have become a catalyst for geopolitical shifts. These changes affect military alignments, economic relationships, and diplomatic ties across the continent. As we observe these developments, it's crucial to maintain a clear analysis of cause and effect. Looking forward, the path to stability requires consideration of all parties' legitimate security interests. This includes Russia's concerns about NATO expansion and the alliance's commitment to its members' security. The challenge lies in finding common ground without compromising principles of international law and state sovereignty. Share your thoughts. What historical lessons can help us find a way out of the current confrontation? Your experience is valuable for understanding today's events. Friends, please share your opinion about the true causes of the current conflict. It's especially interesting to hear from those who remember the historical context of relations between Russia and Western